So first off, thank you for being here and congrats on your number one alternative album in Canada, Automatic.
Thank you. It's wild.
Marking your 20 years together, which is wild. How would you say your songwriting process has evolved over those 2 decades?
I would say it has gone from two guys sitting in a room beating an idea to death in the beginning, where we would record it in all these different ways with speeds and instruments and keys like changing all the time, and recording after we sang it 100 times to now this new version of us. I think we're a little more like instinctual and trusting those instincts, and so the thing isn't beaten to death. It's very fresh. And so I think the actual performances on the record are more, it's just a natural reaction. It's not like an imitation of what you did months ago that you're trying to recapture. And it's a little more like ironically childlike, when you're innocent because you haven't broken in the idea so much, you are like a curious child, like, check this out. Listen to this idea. Let's try this. Don't try that. So that was a lot of what this new record, it's like a full, you almost come back to the top of the circle. I always described it as like, in the Matrix when Neo just like takes a pill and he knows like karate.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that with recording music now where I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't know what I'm doing because I feel so excited about it, but it's just like happening.
Mhm.
And, and, and yet like we've been Jared and I writing for 20 years, but we feel like we just began, but we took the pill that we somehow know how to play music together. So it's a cool feeling, and it made the process go really fast. And yeah, it was just great.
I heard too that you were inspired by the Beatles documentary Get Back and kind of that way of making music, and that in lieu of doing multi-tracking, kind of like you were saying, you were just doing it in the moment. What did that feel like to kind of go do that? What did that room look like? Did you just have instruments like that you could grab and go, yeah, I'm going to add some of this now?
Yeah, we did. We had a like I would call it like different stations set up, and there was three pianos and two sets of drums and a bunch of guitars, bunch of microphones set up, so I could kind of relocate to where I wanted to be depending on the what else was going on. And I think the Beatles, when you watch the Get Back documentary, that was the last album I think they were going to make, or one of them. I thought it was the last. I'm not sure because I think they break up soon after. But um, they're so tight. They've been clearly like playing for a while together, and when they make music, it's like a single organism, like expanding and contracting, and like it's kind of something to behold because all the sort of things that this guy's doing when he's going a little slower, that guy's making up, and it kind of has this quality of like it's like a broth or something. It like all forms this flavor, and it's separated would be not nearly as good, but together it's just this thing. So I felt like we started doing after seeing that. Jared and I've been playing for 20 years, and so there's an element of chemistry there that when people who aren't around us a lot try to play with us, they're not used to like where you like the drum to sit in the pocket or where I'm singing. Is it ahead? Is it behind? So we know each other really well, and I think that it seems kind of silly to not capture that. If you can, it's a gift to the song. I think to just get that, just like the Beatles were doing. So we ended up doing that more and more and more throughout the record, of like live takes all together, to the point where by the end the engineer was kind of frustrated because if you do that you can't really edit it. And we're like, yeah, isn't this great? And he's like, too much. And we made him do it all. The thing that he challenged us on and wanted us to try became like our favorite thing.
Yeah,
um
it sounds like really raw and like spontaneous. It sounds like you're describing that's kind of how you like to think that music comes together.
yeah, you don't want it to feel so separate and choreographed. Like you want to be reacting to each other in real time. And I think I like making analogies to like films because if in a film an actor takes a chance and starts to scream or starts to cry or whatever, and the other one has to react to that, really crazy things could happen. But if it's very like, here's the part where one tear falls, and then it's not, you're not going to get the same thing from both of those actors. And I think a lot of that is true with music. If you can, if you can give each other a little bit of leeway to react and sort of perform the song, and you don't really know, you don't have a big agenda with it, really special things can happen. And then the good stuff, like our first song, Same Old Song, we recorded that in a hurry. It was like the first night we got there, we just got on a tear with the song because we got there like at 5 p.m. We would normally start at like 1 p.m. So it was like we thought we'd get a part of a day in and then start fresh the next day. And because we had flown in, and we finished the song basically in one night. And the vocals I did on that were placeholder vocals on Same Old Song. It wasn't, I had no intention of keeping those, but I was singing like the way that you'd sing in the shower, like no one's listening in a way. You just kind of like, and it was even, there's a word that's not pronounced very well in the take. And it's just a lot, like a lot of humanity in there. And then I went and re-recorded it the next day, and no one liked that, including me, as much as the original take. But I thought the credit was, people who deserve credit, like Jer and David and Simon, they were all sitting there going like, they were open to the idea that that other one, that's really where the important, when your intention is to find the most interesting, compelling thing, really cool things can happen. But if you're trying to find something really perfect and, you know, basically buttoned up, you're not going to get the same. So I think that was the mantra. And so when you do live takes, you get a lot of that, of like
That's so
someone's
cool.
like, I don't really know what the next chord. Oh, there it is. Like, I mean, that's like Bob Dylan, like a Rolling Stone. That's the organ player. He's not knowing the chords, so that's why he's always like a little bit late every time in the same spot, because he's waiting to hear the chord and then he's playing the chord. He didn't know the song, so I think that's like a, it's a good lesson. And like some of our favorite music has a lot of that, and that we've gotten away from that a bit, like as a general practice in recording.
Like you're saying, it's a really authentic experience listening to your music, listening to this album. And it's so interesting hearing how it came together in this live way, especially because a lot of the themes in the album are about modern distractions, things that are distracting you, being addicted to your cell phone and technology. And if you guys, were looking at your phones while you're recording, some of these moments wouldn't happen. What do you find, like, what's your relationship with technology like?
It's, I think it's so well designed that it's like, it's just this slippery slope, you know. I try to wake up and not look and use my phone for the first hour. Sometimes I fail, you know, and then I feel that sort of slight jittery feeling like the rest of the day, where I just want that serotonin drip, like, or dopamine drip
Mm.
from let's see my email, let's see my Instagram, let's see messages, let's, like, you're just kind of looking for a hit. You're looking for that hit of joy that you think the phones give you, but it's actually creates like a lot of nervous frustration, energy. So I think they're very well designed, but I find I sleep a lot better if I like read a book,
Yeah.
and like if I'm like getting so entertained by YouTube shorts or reels on Instagram or something. I don't even mess with TikTok because it's like so insane.
Don't go
Uh,
there.
yeah, but I think, I guess what I'm saying is I don't blame the users for using it. I kind of understand that it's just so well done. And I see my kids using iPads now. If my wife and I got to dinner and we really want to have a conversation, it's not going to happen unless they have something in front of them. And I don't really care what people think of us. Sometimes you see, you get sideways looks, but those people don't realize this is the modern world, man. I'm going like, I need a moment. It's not the whole dinner, but so but I see when I take that iPad away, it's kind of like taking crack away from an addict, like where you're like, this is like working on them
Yeah.
hard in these formative years. So I think that stuff, it found its way into the record in different ways just because it's a bit on my mind because I'm seeing my kids, these innocent little kids, easily being like swept into it. And it's once it's they have it in your grasp, it's like hard to take it out of their hands. So and I think adults are almost as susceptible. You think with our intellectual side, we could be like, well, I don't do that because of, and you still see plenty of adults struggling with it. And I think maybe the best example is just take a walk through an airport and try to find the pie chart percentage of how many people are on a phone and not if they're not walking. If they're walking, they're often on it too. But if they're not, it's the immediate impulse. And I'm not trying to vilify it. I just think it's like a part of our modern culture that we'll probably look back and go, that wasn't the best idea. Like when they smoked in the 50s and drank martinis every night at 5, and you're like, that was kind of intense. Like a lot of people had heart attacks. Like, so um I think we're sort of figuring that part out. And this is like the absurdity of life because it's like the best time you could ever be born, and yet there's all this like nervous energy and stimulation.
It's so interesting that you talk about being a parent and that how that's kind of come out in automatic. The your kids on the iPad. So I'm a parent. I've got a 1 and a 3-year-old. So I really identify with that. Like, oh my gosh, just watch Bluey for 5 minutes so
Yeah.
that I can
Well,
have a
Bluey's a good
conversation.
one though. I'll say Bluey. I'll give Bluey credit. Bluey's a really good show, but it's made me cry. To full disclosure, but like with the one when they were gonna move, did you watch that one?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the sign. I think they
probably
called it.
by myself without my children around
Yeah,
so I
it's an
can pay
amazing
attention.
show, but some of them aren't as good, but that one's great. But yeah, I mean, and the other part is they'll. I think it probably some of it's really well intentioned, but there are like learning games on an iPad, and it's like cool. Now they got you. Like there's an in-app purchase, and the kid like can't get off this thing again. So I think yeah, there is this convenience of it that we're a little bit in the spider web of it, and you got to almost like I bought a phone that's on its way. It's called a light phone. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I would consider if I like it, but if they want, but like it's just black and white screen, just very bland
Mhm.
text, and you can do texting, no email, no social media apps, and you can do music and navigation and take photos. And I just wanted, and I was like, it's pathetic that I had to buy something to not use my phone as much. But it was either going to be like a flip phone or that, and that seemed like a little more advanced because we spent a lot of time on the road, and you know you have downtime in between a show sometimes, and it's not a great way to kill time. But so I'm trying to get off of it in a way it reminds me of keeping healthy snacks in your cupboard or keeping junk, like whatever it is, you're going to eat it. So like if you could just get someone to take the bad stuff away, or you could do it and you just put nice stuff in there, you're still going to be hungry and eat it. So I'm trying to have good temptations around me, like, but it's easier said than done.
Does that new phone, does it have Snake on it? Black and White is calling for Snake, the game on that
That
phone.
would be good. That'd
You
be
need it. You
really
need that. It needs to have Snake. Um, so
Tetris.
yeah, or Tetris or
And,
something. One last question. So you guys, you're on a huge mega tour. You've played like intimate venues, massive arena tour right now. Is there like a dream setting or a dream place that you'd love to perform a show?
yeah, one of the places we were almost going to perform before the pandemic, it's in Verona, Italy. It's called the Arena di Verona, and it's like a pink limestone coliseum that back in 2004, I saw Sting play there, and my sister said to me, "You could, I could see you opening for a band here one day." And so I had bought her a ticket. I was going to have her fly out and watch us play there,
Oh.
and then the pandemic hit, and then we haven't played there since. But hopefully down the road. But that's like a weird bucket list of like at the time watching that show, I heard my sister say it, and I was like, I mean, I believe in myself too, but that's crazy. Like this is Verona, Italy. The setting of Romeo and Juliet. It's a really cool venue. It's unbelievable, and so hopefully we end up doing that. But yeah, that one just seems like because of what my sister said to me. And like sometimes you gotta remember when something really crazy happens to immortalize that in your mind, because like life can, we've been really lucky that a lot of things have happened that we're like, whoa. But you can almost white knuckle your life and then forget to like high five in certain moments and go, isn't this crazy? And so I'm trying to do that a little bit more, especially now that I have kids and I'm like, this time is moving.
Yep.
Yeah,
Goes by too fast.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for chatting and
yeah.
good luck on your tour. And hopefully we'll see you around these here parts because I think
I
Seattle
we
is the
will.
closest you're getting to us right now.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna come up through there. I can promise you that. I think it was just working out